Welcome, everybody. As we are getting started with our group coaching call on this Thursday, January 4th. Hi, who just joined?
This is Will. How are you?
Hey, Will. I'm doing very well. Just getting kicked off.
Beg pardon?
I said we're just getting the call kicked off, so you got good timing.
I'll stay as long as I have power.
Yeah, we're hearing about the snow out east, so yeah.
It's a total whiteout right. Started about 45 minutes ago, and we're expected to get 12 to 16.
Sounds exciting. Sounds like a good day to be inside for a conference call.
Yeah, with my furnace, which has sprung a leak, which means it's going.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but always picks the best time to do that stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, as you see on our agenda, it's a little bit light today. I want to really just kind of start the year off with a lot of discussion. And so these topics are pretty loosely put together. And I'm really hoping that I get a lot of participation from you all. This is a great time for us to just reflect a little bit on 2017 and look forward to 2018 and try to really get our mindsets set in the right place so that when we focus on our mechanics, everything kind of comes together. So we'll have a light agenda and hopefully a lot of great discussion. We'll start with program wins and challenges. So just kind of go around the room and if you've had any good wins, and I would even say, typically we focus on the last couple of weeks, but I would say just looking back over 2017, anything that really jumps out to you about a big win that you had, or any challenges that came up in 2017 that you're working through, we welcome both of those.
Hi, this is Jim Hackett. It's more of a recent one. Get back. At the end of the year, I decided
Actually, this is really difficult for me to understand, Jim. I don't know why this is happening, Ben, but it's all echoey.
Yeah, I'm not hearing you very well.
Hello?
Do you want us all to go on mute and except for, okay.
Yep, everybody mute except for Jim, and we'll see if we can hear. You're just really light, Jim. We're very hard to hear you.
Is that any better?
That is much better.
Okay. So toward the end of the year, I kind of made the decision that I was going to increase prices for existing customers, and Ben and I had talked about that at length in our last one-on-one call. And I had the first of those conversations with a board member yesterday. I was a little apprehensive about it. I don't know why. I've been in business coming up on 4 years. I'm kind of extremely well, and the guy even said, "Oh, I was wondering when you were going to get around to doing this."
Yeah.
So that was good to hear because it kind of takes, some of the trepidation out of it, as I have to have the rest of the conversations with each of them in their January coaching sessions. So I just wanted to pass that along.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jim. I'm really glad to hear that went well, and I think it's just a really good business strategy every year to reevaluate your pricing and to see if it's appropriate to raise the price. And, only you can really say for your business and your members whether that's the right time. But I think, to your point, we often wait a little too long. And in many ways, that's a way that we're communicating with our members that we don't really value or see the increased value that we're providing over the years. And so I'm glad to hear that they responded with, I was wondering when this was going to happen, because that's a way of them saying, yeah, I'm getting good value and I think it's worth more than I'm paying.
Well, he's the first one, so we'll see if the others all echo his sentiment. But and I actually kind of thought, because his budget's a little bit leaner than most, I kind of thought he might balk a little bit. So the fact that he's not balking is probably a good sign.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Out of interest, Jim, how much did you raise your prices? What percentage did you raise them?
I actually didn't calculate it as a percentage. I just did it as a dollar amount, but I can tell you in one second.
What
About
did you
5%.
raise it from and to?
5%. I raised it from $4.95 to $5.20. 25.
All right. So did you present it as a cost of living or something like that?
No, I just basically said, he's one of my original members, so he's been with me almost the whole 4 years that we've been together. For about 3 years, I think he's a 3-year member. And I just said, as you know, I have not increased prices since since we got together, since our inception. And I said, I've kind of reevaluated my pricing structure and where it's at in the marketplace, and I feel it's an appropriate time to increase rates. And I told him what the new rate was, and he's like, well, I kind of thought that was coming at some point. So he says, I don't really have an issue with it. It was a very simple, easy 2-minute conversation, quite frankly, and I had put a lot more emphasis on it than probably needed to be put on it.
Do you think you could have asked for more?
I don't know if I could or I couldn't have. I think one of the reasons why it went fairly well is because it doesn't feel large.
Yeah, it's not painful.
Yeah, it's not that painful, so it's not that big a deal to them. I think if it was starting to be, $50 to $100 a month more, as opposed to $25 a month more, I think I would have gotten a different reaction. But that's a good question. I'd be interested to hear the feedback from everybody else on the call, what they would think about that.
Other thoughts on the amount of increase that Jim put forward? Does 5% seem about right?
Well, I don't even know, but it seems like it's cost of living, aligned with cost of living, and to that seems painless and full of there's a good backup to why you would be doing it. In my context, it's interesting because I'm having to rent a room for one of my boards, and if I took and raised everyone's membership by $25 to $35, it would cover the cost of the room, which I like the idea of, as opposed to being a cost.
I have the same issue for one of my boards. I have, for the longest time, rented a room to accommodate that board because they don't have a place to meet. They're smaller businesses. And you're right. I mean, that's just a cost of doing business, and I've absorbed it. But this cost increase across the board would certainly more than offset what I pay for that room.
Yeah, so that's interesting to me.
Lesson I've learned. Go ahead.
Well,
No,
this is Will. I wanted to make a comment about renting rooms. I think I've done that once or twice, but more specifically, I've always been able to, even with the smallest companies, find other companies that are willing to have us come in and use their conference rooms. It's a mini marketing event, but it gets people out of their offices. I use routinely meeting rooms at the local chamber. And chamber membership, oftentimes, if they have conference rooms, includes at least a few hours a month that you can use them for free. And if you use them for longer, our local chamber charges $10 an hour. So, I mean, I've received a few bills in the past. They're in the $30 to $50 range because I've run several meetings there. But the chambers in particular, if they have meeting rooms, are generally well stocked. They've got audio visual, and you can really spread out. And I've also gone to local restaurants. I've had a few that have said that come on in. We don't open until lunch. You're welcome to have a meeting room, a morning meeting there, and I've taken advantage of that from time to time as well.
What part of the country are you, Will?
Northeast.
Okay, interesting.
Southeastern Massachusetts.
That is an interesting idea.
The whole rate increase is, it's something I should have probably done a lot sooner than I did, and I'm certainly not going to let it go another 3 years again before I do the next one. I don't know that I would necessarily do it another 25 next year, but I'm going to get in the habit of every year just trying to inch it up a little bit as a standard practice.
One of the subjects that we've talked about in all of our board meetings is about price increases, not for my services, but for theirs. And so when you get your members into a conversation about their reluctance to raise prices, if you happen to get strike it rich and have a member says, hey, I've got a routine price increase strategy, which one of my members has. He raises his prices once a year for his basic services, once a year for all of his diagnostic services. It just got the rest of the board thinking about that, so that when I go to them, which is about every 18 months, and ask them for a price, or announce a price increase, I should say, I've not had anybody back away. And I think it's a lesson for all of us that we have to do things judiciously, but you might be able to pave the way by getting them thinking about their own price increases along the way, and it's just very natural for you to ask for yours.
I agree.
Well, how do you do that announcement, Will? You talk about it like it's really just a note that goes out or something, or do you talk about it in a board meeting, or do you do it in coaching sessions?
I've traditionally, I've only been around for 5 years. I do it in the coaching sessions with a written letter that I hand to them. So I have a letter that says, like any other businesses, my costs have increased. My services are such, that I think at this point I'm raising it. And I was at $495 when I launched, and my basic board, which is not unlike you talk about your under $1 million board. My Plymouth board has companies that are under $1 million to slightly over. Those guys now are at $525. And for those that have picked up additional hours of coaching, some are paying $650 to $775 a month right now.
Wow, that's great.
I don't have a league leading average sale price, guys. I mean, I'm running at about $500, $515 right now. But I was down at 400s when I started out.
I think one of the things that Will just hit on, though, is really important. As his members require or ask for more coaching, that is a paid service. And I think sometimes we have a tendency to let our coaching sessions just run long occasionally, or we'll add one in if they need something. I would really advise you to make it really clear, if you're not already doing this with your members, that if you go beyond the agreed upon time frame, or if you require an additional coaching, that comes with a fee, because your time is valuable. And I think that would not surprise anybody if you made that clear. All right, great discussion. Good job, Jim, with your price increases. Hopefully it goes well with the other members. And I think it's a good example for the rest of us in looking at how we can do that. And I think from my perspective, 3 to 7% range is probably about where I would see an annual increase falling. So I think you're right on target. Well done. Any other wins or challenges from 2017 that you'd like to share?
I'm just busting at the seams to start talking about 2018.
We will get there in just a moment.
Okay.
I have a challenge. And maybe you guys can help. It's about accounting. It's about the accounting function. I've had a couple of events that I know I should have worked. I should have done better. Let me tell you a little bit about them. So the first one is a member that pays by check, and his check arrived late. And it spun into such a circle of this member dues are late. I then contacted the member that, your dues are late, gave a good explanation. By the time the member came back, he'd said, I did send the check, don't know what's happened to it. They had got the check, and then they turned around and said, oh, everything's fine now. And I've just recently had 2 more events where someone's credit card was turned down. They contacted me, a credit card has been turned down. And I went to the member, I said, has something happened with your credit card? Do we need to update it on the records? And before he could even reply, they said, "Oh, we've tried the credit card again, and it's fine now." And so, third one happened just recently. There was a fraud event with a member, and they tried the new card. The member was good enough to say, "My card's been a fraud event," and give me the form again so I can fill in the new card information. Sent the new card information in good time so that they could take it from the new card. I received no information from them that they were having problems with this card. Today, my members contacted me to say he just received a letter from TAB saying, with an invoice because the credit card was declined. So I don't know, does anyone have this stuff going on? Or I'm beginning to feel as though I should not pay any attention to TAB accounting for a couple of days until I can really see that there's an issue and then contact my member. Or does anyone have a protocol for this? Because these are all events that they aren't positive events when it comes to the membership.
So I think you hit the nail right on the head. This is Jim Hadley. I have had similar issues in the past, and I have adopted the policy that I don't react to the notices that come from TAB accounting immediately. They have a habit where they automatically reprocess the card every so many days, and it could be that the customer's been over their credit limit, and then they get it resolved, or a variety of different things have happened. And I find if I let it ride out, it typically resolves itself before I ever even have to talk to the member.
Right.
So
yeah,
I did not know that, and
truly late.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess truly late is I don't know what the protocol is because it's interesting. With one credit card, they tell me after it's not been accepted the first day, and yet the second one where the guy proactively said, "My card has had a fraud event, here's a new card information." They tried for 7 days, didn't contact me about it, and wrote the member a letter. And
they've
so
never gone to a member directly with me. They've always come to me. I'm surprised to hear they've gone directly to a member.
I had them go directly. Jan Frick and I are on a first name basis. If you haven't established a relationship with her, you should. I do wait 2 to 3 days to see if it goes away. I watch my sales reports, although I can't do that right now until I bring them back up to speed. But within about 3 days, if that hasn't resolved and they tried it once or twice more, I do call the member and I let them know that their credit card is not going through. And most of the time, it's a fraud event. Something's happened, and they've gotten a new card and they haven't even thought about us. So once that happens, I ask them for the number. I get the information. I communicate it. I update my records here manually. And then I asked Jan to give me a confirmation that the new credit card worked. I've also got some folks that are on an invoice basis. They don't want to use a credit card. And there the noise level starts to rise a little bit more because it's pretty easy once the invoice gets to them on an email to just ignore it. They get buried in a multitude of other emails. So I've learned to live with it. They know to contact them at some point, but I have one client almost religiously only pays me every 2 to 3 months. And when she pays me for 2 or 3 months at a whack, and then we go on. And so I've learned to live with that one client. But I think you have to just keep a positive attitude when you speak with them. There could be a multitude of reasons why there were problems, but I'm always watching it closely to make sure that it isn't the first step in someone's decision-making process to get out of TAB, but they haven't told me. That generally is not the case.
Yeah, that's helped. I think that I'm just learning the lesson of wait a couple of days. I think TAB accounting are telling me, I know Jan, and she's extremely helpful and very positive. I'm not saying anything bad about them. I think they are trying to be good for their customers and telling us right away something's up, but we should not react by going directly to the member right away. Give it a couple of days. I just didn't know that, and it's caused. I have to say, it might be something to write down and tell new Tab owners, because it's not a good feeling. They don't want to be told their credit card has been turned down, and within 8 hours their credit card is fine. So okay, thank you, everyone.
Yep, and for those that don't, if you ever have any issues with accounting, definitely give them a call. They're a great team and very committed to providing the service that you need. And I would even say, Deb, in a situation where your member got a communication that you did not see, I would let Jen know, because that is not.
I did that this morning, and she was surprised actually. So I'm going to see him tomorrow, and I'm going to get both of the communications, because without seeing them and without knowing exactly what they are, we're in the dark. So
absolutely.
it's just, I just know I've not seen anything, and yet my member has contacted me and he's seen something. So funny, yeah.
Deb, I don't think I've ever had one of my clients receive a letter like that. I don't know why you did. They only receive another invoice, and then I see the trailing.
We don't know what we're talking about here, so I think I'm going to waste time if I carry on, because my member has said I've received a communication from Tab, and he's away from his office today, so we're going to look at this, whatever he received, tomorrow, and I'll be able to label it and know exactly what it is. I agree with you. Usually Tab do not do that with a member, so let me figure it out and come back.
Sure.
The key learning for me is, when you hear from Tab Accounting, don't jump on it like it's a red hot must get to issue. Wait for a few days, and I will do that from now on. Thanks.
Yep. Great. Another very helpful discussion. Thanks for bringing that up, Deb. I appreciate that. Any other 2017 big wins or challenges that you'd like to share? All right. Will gets his way, and we will move on to 2018. Before I open it up for discussion, I just want to share a few things from my perspective. As you're looking forward to 2018, there are two key things to really evaluate and build into your strategy for success in 2018. And one is mindset. We talk about this a lot in our coaching, and as we get into the owner-to-owner sprint calls, and I think mindset is absolutely critical. It's identifying and leveraging positive momentum, recognizing that is a real thing, and that as you begin to find success, even little success, it just builds and compounds and is the catalyst for big change and big success. One of my favorite concepts is it does not take monumental or major change to make progress. It's incremental change that really, when compounded, leads to that significant improvement or significant change. So leverage the positive momentum that you have. Always focus on and move forward with that positive frame of mind. Disciplines to form habits. So a lot of what we're doing in our coaching is looking at the disciplines around how to find and develop new members. Excuse me. And what we're really focusing on right now is building good disciplines so that over time these simply become your standard or accepted mode of operation. Just what you do to run your business. And as we've talked at length about on several different occasions, this is a season of your business development where a lot of emphasis is being placed on marketing and sales. That's not going to be the standard approach for the remainder of your business. But if you have good habits that were built upon strong discipline, you're going to be able to maintain a pretty healthy prospect pipeline, so that if you do find a member leaving here and there, you're going to be in a position to replace that member fairly quickly. The other thing is, with your mindset, is staying engaged in all aspects of your business. I don't think I've talked to a single one of you who does not absolutely love coaching and facilitation. It's not hard to stay engaged in coaching. It's not hard to stay engaged in facilitating a meeting. Where it's hard to stay engaged is when you're doing those mundane, difficult tasks that we don't necessarily enjoy doing, that we find ourselves starting to lag behind, maybe losing some of that positive momentum. So I would just encourage you that even when you're doing those administrative tasks that are difficult or hard to accomplish, keep it framed in a way that is connected to your bigger picture, your bigger vision, and understand that doing these on a consistent, regular basis is the foundation for having a strong, sustainable business. And then, of course, take out the trash. When you find yourself getting in those negative headspaces, when those voices are creeping in telling you that things aren't going well, or that you're struggling here, or this isn't going to be successful, or this isn't a good prospect, or whatever, just deal with it. Don't ignore those voices. Don't pretend like they don't exist, but confront them head on with truth. So, you are doing things that are important to your business. Your business is and has been successful. You do have what it takes to grow and manage a TAB business. You are a great coach. You are a great facilitator. So take those negative thoughts and deal with them with the truth and the reality of what you're really going on. Now, I often hear sometimes that, well, Ben, my business isn't as successful as I want it to be. That's not the issue. The issue is saying that you're not successful. We all have periods of growth and periods of high success and lower success, but it's still success. And if we frame things around the fact that we are successful, we start to behave and act and think and respond differently. If we think that we're failing, we're going to act like we're failing. If we think that we're succeeding, we're going to act like we're succeeding. So deal with that negative head trash and get rid of it. The other thing around mechanics, which is the supplement to having a positive mindset, it's doing the right things the right way, the right time, and doing it consistently. So you all are effective marketing experts in that you're marketing your own businesses, and you're learning what is successful and what isn't successful, and how to modify or adjust various campaigns to attract the kind of prospects you need. We just need to keep doing these things consistently. You all have effective sales processes because you've added members. You know that you can close because you've closed. So just keep doing those things and learning from each and every appointment so that you can get a little bit better and keep doing the right things consistently. The other thing that I think is a big challenge is not owning forward progress. So on the positive side, it's up to you and only you to move your prospects forward. And I would even say it's up to you and only you to move your members forward. It's really easy in a coaching relationship to let a member stagnate and kind of rest on their laurels and maybe get out of that development or growth mindset. So it's really up to you to own forward progress in all aspects of your business. If it's not happening, there's only one place to go, and that's look in the mirror and see who's looking back at you, and that's the person responsible. So keeping the right mindset around that and doing the mechanics to keep things moving forward. And then finally, make no assumptions, no prejudgments. Let each prospect play out the way that they want it to play out. Let each member grow the business they want to grow. It's not our job to tell them or to guide them into what they need to do. It's up to them to decide. We're there as advisors, trusted advisors. We're there as helpers. We're there as consultants on occasion. We're there to coach and mentor. We're there to help them move forward in the way they want to move forward. So it might not look like a great prospect, but you never know until you get engaged with them and learn about them and their business. And you might find, and I'm sure you have found, that some of those that you thought initially wouldn't be great members have turned into fantastic members over time. So no negative assumptions, no prejudgments. Let things move forward. All right, so that's all I have around 2018. I'd like to open it up for anything that you have around, specifically around what you're looking forward to, what you might be doing differently in 2018 that you haven't done in the past, goals that you maybe have set. I would love if we could share some of our personal goals around our business and what we're looking for in 2018. as I think that can be very encouraging as well. So as we look forward, I'll open it up, and I'd love to hear from you.
Well, first off, this is Will. I'm back. I had a power outage for about 5 minutes, and my system is back up and running. Can you hear me okay?
We can, yes.
Okay, well, I'm on my... All I wanted to say for the start of 2018, well, for me, it's all about discipline. And while I've set goals for myself with respect to how many new members I want to have, I'm estimating what my attrition rate's going to be with lost business and such. I will send to you later today, Ben, this cookbook that I put together, and already it's having an impact. I mean, I began working on the 1st of January in this new program, if you will. And I've been fortunate enough now to have 2 discovery meetings set up. It's only Thursday, they'll be that I'll be doing next week. Thanks very much to Deb, who provided a referral, and I've made contact and connected now with a guy down in the Cape that might be a very viable board member. And I suspect that he and I will get together as soon as this stinking snow gets cleared and the roads are opened again. But I've done a combination of cold calling, and I would call it more comfortable these days because it's not really cold, it's warm. So I am, in fact, contacting those individuals that have opened my newsletters or opened my MailChimp campaigns, people that at some level expressed an interest in TAB. They saw something from a management or business perspective they're interested in, and I'm just going to follow up with those folks. I'm also doing now, I did half a dozen targeted emails. One of those resulted in a discovery. I did the targeted calls. One of those was the discovery. I just expect that if I follow this cookbook, as I'm calling it, and I do it on a daily basis, recording all of my actions, number one, I think it's going to offer me a more optimistic outlook about the fact that, you have to do a certain amount of work in order to get a reasonable amount of results. And if you're not recording that, I think you can lose track. I certainly have of the activity. And when somebody said to me, well, how many discovery meetings you had last week, I had to think about it. With this form, I'm going to have it right there. It's going to be a constant reinforcement that I am developing a discipline and I am moving forward. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic, and it's only Thursday with a whiteout, power outages, and the furnace on the fritz.
That's exciting. I'm really happy to hear that, and I'm looking forward to seeing your cookbook. And it just kind of reinforces what you said, Will, that when we start to do the right things the right way consistently, and we stay and leverage the positive momentum that we have, it just leads to great success. So I'm very encouraged to hear what you just said. Any other comments or thoughts?
Can you share the cookbook?
The answer is maybe. Not that I didn't want to. It did derive from the Sandler people that made me, and I took it under some confidentiality, but let me cleanse it up a little bit, play with it. Let me talk with Ben, and I'll get something out to you guys, okay?
That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Any other thoughts or expectations or goals that you're setting for yourselves in 2018? The risky part about sharing it is then we all know that that's what you're shooting for, but that can be a good thing as well.
Hell, I don't want to be held accountable to anything.
Too late.
Well, I took a critique this week from Rob Fishman, a area developer and Sandler owner. He thought I was doing too much marketing, and I take the critique seriously. I didn't defend myself. There wasn't anything to defend, but I think that I want to scale up in social media. I want to make certain that I continue to not only build but at least maintain the brand that I've developed in southeastern Massachusetts. So, I mean, part of this cookbook activity is I tweeted up a storm this week. I even got one of my tweets referred by Steve Davies, who's a pretty big-time tab guy on Long Island. I've got my Facebook, which is still, I think, in need of some help, but the LinkedIn, I posted something the other day. I mean, these things are the marketing side. All the rest, every contact I make, I think has the potential to move forward. So I'm just, I guess what I'm saying is take every criticism as something positive, and something will come out of it.
Yep. Anybody else? What are you looking forward to? What are your expectations for 2018?
Well, I'll go next if you like.
Sure.
I've had a number of positive months after I have to say the first 8 months of last year was just I just did, nothing was hooking, nothing was working. And it was down to the formula of a drip email campaign and an event that I sponsored in November, and following through with owner-to-owner calls. So in that series, that loop, along with a lot of referral type people, if I look at my last year, I established relationships with a lot of third-party referral type people, accountants and banking and etc. So I'm going to continue that with, like Will says, a little bit more discipline and a little bit more watching what I'm doing and making sure that, yes, I am making at least 30 owner-to-owner calls a week, etc., etc. I saw enough positive results in the last 4 months where I'm going to tell you what I like to do and hope, and the plan behind it is based on the last few months' successes. So per quarter, I would like to add 4 members, and I would like at the end of the year to have 4 boards of 8. Which is 32 members. I would like my membership fee average to go from, it's around $480 right now. I'd like to raise to about $550. I'd like to bring my costs down. So the thing that was relevant to that in this conversation was around the meeting room, and I thought a number of those ideas were really interesting. I'd like to build my skill in giving workshops, because I think that fits more with my personality than giving presentations, and I like the idea of workshops. So I've started to look at Work Bar and places like that and offer certain hours where I will become available to run workshops.
Well, let me just say, Deb, that your goal of 4 new members per quarter, I think, is eminently doable based on what I've seen in the last several months, especially if you continue to do those fundamental activities that continue to develop your pipeline. And 32 members by the end of the year, I think, again, is well within your what I would consider to be reasonable for you.
The only other thing I didn't mention was, and I really should, because this is my top of mind, I must get really good at this, is retention. So that's the other edge, the other side to this coin. The 4 members, that's a net 4 members. So hopefully that means I just have to go out and get 4. It doesn't mean I have to go out and get 6 every quarter.
So around retention, one of the things that is so important to improve retention is to understand why people leave and when they leave, so that we can anticipate that a little bit in some regards, and also mitigate it by trying to address those known challenges in advance. So really taking the time to understand why members are choosing to leave is so valuable in the long run. Well, great. Thanks for sharing and for the detail in your goals. I really appreciate that. I'm a details guy, so that really speaks to me. I love that. And the more detailed, I believe wholeheartedly, the more likely you are to achieve. Any other 2018 expectations from anyone? Well, let me share my 2018 expectation. As you know, this program is still in its infancy, so I really want to see the next level program mature, and you all are such a critical part of that for me. I am always looking for ways to make things better, so I'm always open to your feedback. I'm looking to begin to formalize a feedback system so that you can regularly provide your ideas or your thoughts around how to make this a more effective or more valuable opportunity for those that take advantage of it. I'm also hoping that we can grow this program so that by the end of 2018, we've had as many as 30 or 40 TBOs having gone through this program. We started out with a targeted group of TBOs that we invited first, and we're looking to expand that and trying to figure out how this becomes a long-term part of how TAB supports business owners in the field. So I'm really excited to watch this program grow. I'm really excited to see the success that you all are having, to see the excitement and the optimism that's growing with each one of you as you start to do some of the things that are necessary for building your business. And so my ask in 2018 is please, please, please give me feedback as much as you can. If something's not working for you, you have to tell me. If something would be helpful for us to start doing, you have to tell me. If something's not adding value, you have to tell me so that we can make this better. And the other thing that I would ask is if you have not given me a testimonial and you feel so motivated, please submit. If you don't want to give it directly to me, you can send it to Phil. Please send us your testimonials. Those are really powerful in encouraging other TBOs to participate in the program. And there are several that we're really hoping will join, but they just need a little encouragement and a little push. So if you can do that, I would appreciate it. And the final thing, and then I'll be quiet, is please, as you're having conversations, whether it's on your peer boards or with other TBOs just in conversation, please make this program a more known component of what TAB Home Office is doing to support TBOs. There are still many who don't know. Some of that's a little bit intentional because we haven't made the effort to communicate to them just yet. But the more they hear about it, the more we get asked questions about it, the more positive momentum we can build. So I'm really excited for this program and where it can go and how it can continue to help not only this group of TBOs, but a broader group in 2018. All right. With that, I'd like to open it up for any final discussion topics. This can be about anything that's on your mind. But we'll use the last 10 minutes or so of the meeting for any open discussion you would like. We've got some quiet people on the call, so hopefully they'll speak up too. I don't want to call names. Either that or I've been muted.
Aware of anything that TAB Corporate has got in the hopper for 2018 to kind of work on improving the recognition of the brand? It's just so unknown, and you're always in a constant education process with every single person that you meet.
Yeah.
I know in 2017 the focus was kind of on the LinkedIn postings and some of the things they were doing around social media, but I'm just kind of curious if, being an insider, what's in the hopper for 2018 to try and help the brand become more recognized?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jim. The primary project for 2018 is the revamp and rebuild of the website. And that is taking first place in everything that's happening here at home office. The international site will be launched first, followed by the U.S. or the North American site, I guess, a little later in the year. But that's the primary effort. I would say also, if you haven't seen or heard, we just found out that Entrepreneur, I'm looking for the article right now. It's the Franchise 500, the magazine that does the Franchise 500.
I think
maybe
it's
Fortune. Let me pull it up really quick.
INC Inc.
Let's see. And amplifiers, Franchise 500. It is Entrepreneur's Franchise 500. So they rank the top 500 franchises, regardless of industry, each year. And this is their 39th edition, and Tab is ranked 234th out of 500 of all the franchises that there are, and there are thousands. And last year we weren't in the 500. So those are the kinds of things that, while it doesn't necessarily feel like, from your perspective, we're getting any more traction with our brand, it is actually starting to gain some recognition. And I would point people to that to help them kind of connect with who Tab is and how long we've been around. And the issue is this Fortune, or this Franchise 500 issue, is one of the most popular publications every year, and goes out and is purchased by people who don't normally purchase Entrepreneur. That's actually how I found out about Tab way back in the day, was looking at through franchise publications like this one. And so this should help and should provide some marketing opportunity once that magazine is actually published. But if there are specific things, Jim, I would kind of ask you to help me help us. If there are certain things that you think we could be doing in the local market to help build brand awareness, by all means, share those with me, and whatever I can do to work with marketing here to support that, we definitely will do. I do realize that brand recognition is a critical piece of you being able to have a sustainable business.
Okay.
So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback.
And there'll be more coming out on the website in the months ahead as development begins and certain functionality is added. Jody Shaw is heading up that project, so she'll be the one responsible for getting that information out to you all as it happens.
Is that intended to trickle down to our individual sites as well?
Yes.
Has she chosen a marketing company to work with?
I have not seen Jody for a couple of weeks, so because I've been out and she's been out, but I will follow up with her and ask.
I'm particularly curious because one of my clients is a software developer that owns the Cape in terms of website development and SEO optimization and such. He submitted interest a couple months ago. He's never even been contacted.
Yeah, I'll send her a note and ask her.
That's not a good way.
One of mine has also, and actually her references were just contacted last week.
Okay.
So it sounds like it's still in process.
Glad to hear that. Thank you. What number did you say we were on the franchise list? I'm in the listing and I'm kind of going down through it.
234.
I'm almost there. Okay. All right. 230. Oh, I'm in a different list. 234 is Fish Window Cleaning Services.
Is that 2017 or 2018?
Yeah, it's probably 2017.
Yeah, I don't know if they've actually published the 2018 list yet.
Yeah.
typically what they'll do is they'll notify the individual franchises of where they're at on the list.
So is this our first year on the list or on a list like this?
No, we've been on before.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
I believe this is the highest ranking we've ever achieved.
Okay.
All right. Any other open discussion topics? Any final thoughts?
My only final thought is, Ben, if there's any chance of my talking to you later in the day, presuming I have power, I'd appreciate that. I'll send you this cookbook, and if you have the time, I'd love to discuss it with you.
Sure. Yeah, I should be able to do that. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up a few minutes early then. Let me just close with this. We're kind of getting back into the groove this week. Next week will be, kind of back to operations as usual for all of the things with the program. All of our all of our individual coachings will be back on track. We'll have our next group coaching next week at the same time, and all of the owner-to-owner sprint calls will occur as scheduled. I will just let you know, this happened yesterday and it was really unfortunate. Occasionally I run into technical issues. I was actually unable to log in for the closeout debrief of the owner-to-owner sprint call session yesterday. So just be aware that, we all have those issues at times. But if you have any questions or something seems out of sorts, please give me a call. When my computer goes down, I don't have any of those numbers available, so I couldn't even dial in to try to figure out how to connect. So I would welcome anytime that something's not happening as you think it should be, please give me a call, and it will help me kind of get the word out at times. So other than that, thanks to everyone for joining the call today, and please reach out if there's anything I can do prior to our next one-to-one or group coaching session. And Happy New Year to everyone.
Have us down for one-to-one
Happy
tomorrow.
New Year,
I'll make sure that's still good.
Yep, we're still good.
Bye-bye. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Take care.
Happy New Year.
All right.